folks, Raymond Foster here, hope you're doing great. I was asked to explain how it would be possible to take steps towards creating some type of recaptured destiny, some type of recaptured future for members of Western kind. The proposed suggestions by the individual inquiring into my understanding, guidance, and clarity on the subject, put forth their own positions and propositions. Fundamentally, that being the age-old, the perhaps even century-old suggestion and position, contemplation of trying to create something which is a settlement, a business, a space, trying to evoke some space in which there is a majority or a overall collective, a whole, a sum total of only members of Western kind in that space. Right. So this is this individual's position, and again, this is a century-old position that people have been trying to push for and whatnot in order to secure some type of homeland for members of Western kind. Now, fundamentally, the key and the thing to understand, if you wish to actually be effective and to change the world, as folk currently are doing, there are those of us who are currently changing the face of the whole planet and the way everything works in the entire world. And you can be effective too, and you can help and be a part of that snowball effect. Although we only need, like it's always been throughout history, you only need a handful of people to change the course of history forever. So 10 or 20 people, alright, that's all you need, and you can change all of human history. You can change the entire direction of the entire planet with just 10 or 20 people. That's all you need, and that's all you've ever needed. Okay? Jesus had 12. And he's changed the world more than people who have had armies of millions. Okay? He only had him and 12 men, so 13 people. That's proof, evidence right there. 13 people, just 13 men, living homeless, walking with no possessions, nothing. Okay? Have the potential and power to change the world for thousands and thousands of years, the whole face of the planet for thousands and thousands of years, more so, and have more influence than anything else possibly in the world. Okay? To simply have a small collective of individuals who are in solidarity of purpose and message and have a passion to get that message out to the world. Okay? You only need a handful of folk, you change history forever, and you can even change it for thousands of years to come. So, the way to be effective in regards to recapturing the destiny of Western kind, because we are a fallen people, our nations are fallen, alright? We can all agree, and everyone will clearly, says now, Australia, for example, is no longer a white nation. It's no longer a white homeland. People call it multicultural, diversity, whatever you want to call it, but it's no longer a white homeland, and it hasn't been since the 60s or in the 50s, 60s. Okay? So, how can we effectively recapture our destiny as a people? Because if we have no homelands, and currently in the world, that's only our race, only white people, who are denied a homeland everywhere on the planet. And if a people don't have a homeland, they dwindle and go extinct. So our folk, our race, is facing extinction via the omission or lack of a space in which we can live amongst our own and ourselves, that we can actually call ours. It's our homeland, so it's a white space for white people. Okay? Without that, yes, it is inevitable. Our race will go extinct. It's the same for anybody, any people. That's why the Jews have Israel now. They were given Israel, an entire nation, a homeland, because it's considered a human right, because we all understand that without that, a people are just left to wander and be persecuted and exterminated, and they will be wiped out and they will go extinct. So it's a human right, it's a beautiful thing to give a person a homeland. That's why the Jews have Israel. And that's why if our people are to survive in the future, if your grandchildren, your white grandchildren, and then their descendants, their children to come, are to exist and live happy, abundant lives, then we have to somehow work to establish a homeland like how the Jews have Israel, but specifically just for white folk. Now, if you try to push for that, again, which has been the ideal for centuries, then because how anti-white the world is today, so the number one race which is discriminated against on the planet is our race, white people, okay? We have the worst standards, we're treated the worst, everyone else has better benefits, they're looked after, eat better, we have the, okay, so in all situations, all standards, white folk, we have it worse. We're worse off than everyone else on the planet. We're mistreated more, we're abused more, discriminated more, etc. All other races of non-whites have it better than us, okay? And we're even that discriminated, we're the most discriminated race on the planet, to the point that if we even simply just say, hey, how about instead of my race being exterminated, like the Jews, right? So we're almost in the same position as the Jews in Nazi Germany, okay? But it's even worse for us whites now than it was for the Jews in Nazi Germany, because we're discriminated to the point where if we call it out, we speak up against it, the whole world has been conditioned and is in a narrative called the AntiWhite Narrative, which then has responses to such things. It says, haha, nah, you're just full of crap, or what are you talking about? As if you're the most discriminated race, etc., etc., etc. So, at least when the Jews were being discriminated against in Nazi Germany, there was support for the Jews. People saw the discrimination, called it out as discrimination and persecution, and then there was effort to help and protect, and then they were given Israel, etc. But for us white folk today, who are in the same position as the Jews in Nazi Germany, all right, when it started out, obviously, we're not being rounded up and put in concentration camps yet, but they're building the concentration camps, and they're getting ready to round us up. Okay? But the difference is, people deny that it's happening to us because we're white. All right? Whereas in Nazi Germany, everyone agreed it was obvious, yeah, it's because they're Jews, they're being persecuted for being Jews. Whereas us white folk, we've been persecuted and discriminated against worse than any other race of people on the planet for generations now, and people still try to deny that that's the fact. And so, if you as a white person simply say, hey, my people are facing extinction in the same way, all right, erasure, the same way that the Jews faced persecution in Nazi Germany, so I just want some protection, I want a bit of help, I want to make sure that white children aren't being molested and abused, I want the innocent to be protected of my people, okay? So we need a little space where we can live amongst ourselves just like the Jews have Israel. If you say this as a white person in this day and age, because we are the most discriminated race on the planet in the anti-white narrative which exists globally, then people will try to claim that you are racist, or they'll slander you with these anti-white slurs. What's racist mean? Racist means you're white and you don't hate yourself enough, so you deserve to have bricks thrown at your head and to be stomped into the gutter because you're white. Okay, so that's what racist means and racism. It means you're white and you don't hate yourself for being white, so you deserve to be harmed for simply being your race. Okay? So these stereotypes, these slanders will be thrown at you simply because you're saying, hey, my people are the most persecuted, discriminated race on the planet. We're suffering the most out of everyone and anyone. We're denied a right to a homeland, which means we're forced into erasure and extinction and genocide. All right? So we simply are asking for human rights, to not be mistreated, to not be victims of racial discrimination, to not see our innocent members of our race, our children, our elderly, the women abused, molested, raped because of their race, bashed because they're white, etc. We're just asking for that. And we're asking for a little bit of space where we can just call it our own, so we can have something called a home, okay? So we have a little bit of space for ourselves. And then people try to claim that we're evil, we're bad. How dare you want to not have your children and women bashed and raped? And just hounded and hunted down for just being born in a certain race that you were born. You're scum white. You don't deserve to have rights as a human being because you're a white person. Shut the up, and then they'll call you a R word or a white supremacist or whatever it is. Okay? So, the effective way of advocating for the well-being of our folk and protecting the innocent members of our people, protecting women and children and the elderly from discrimination and persecution, is to address that directly. Okay? The well-being, okay? Because people will use excuses, justifications from the anti-white narrative to try to claim that you're an evil white person if you simply ask for well-being or for this or that, because that will promote and produce well-being, allow well-being and safety for your people as a white person, okay? So, to avoid this slander, the only thing you can do then, okay, because again, fundamentally, if you say, well, my people need a homeland, just like the Jews need a homeland, because just like so they got Israel, without a homeland, we face erasure, and that ultimately is extinction, genocide. So anyone with a heart who doesn't want to see white people erased and harmed, suffering, all right, needlessly, innocent children being abused, etc., anyone who doesn't want that has to support us having a homeland, all right? Then people will be like, oh, but you want a homeland, so that puts you in this category, that box, blah, 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 so then you're this evil white person, so, and then they'll try to throw bricks at your head just because of the race that you are, just because you have white skin, okay? They'll try to attack you and bash you. I've had that multiple times, groups of people trying to bash me for being white. So, the key, then, is to be more specific, all right? And instead of saying, well, I want this thing because that would allow my people to be protected and have well-being. Because again, if you want this or that thing, or you have this or that idea, that can be used, your attraction to that thing, your desire for that thing, even though it is only for the well-being of your people, okay? And it's only to protect the innocent members of your race. Your desire for that thing, or your attachment to that ideology or that idea, which may bring benefit and well-being to your race, can be used to label you and associate you, tie you into, put you into a box and call you an evil white, where people will throw bricks at your head. You'll be, 20 people will try to bash you at once with baseball bats and call you a white piece of trash, etc., etc., simply because you asked to not have that white children not be raped and molested, and that white women be treated with respect. Okay? So the key is, instead of associating with any of these things or ideologies, etc., which can be used to stereotype you as a white person and racially discriminate you, dehumanize you, put you in a box, call you a racist, supremacist, whatever it is, the key then is to simply address well-being itself. So instead of me saying, well, my folk need a homeland, just like the Jews have Israel, okay, for for my folk to have well-being and not face erasure, I can simply say, and I advocate that you too say, if you want to promote the well-being of our people and protect innocent children and our elderly and the women, that you say, my people need well-being. One of the steps to my people having well-being may be our own space, a homeland like the Jews have Israel. But that's not the focus, that's not exactly what I want. I don't care in what form it comes or how it looks. What I want specifically is well-being for my people. Now, the reason we address it in this manner is because this makes it impossible for a person to put you in a box and try to stereotype you. If I'm saying I want a homeland for my people, people will try to make up crazy ideas, and they'll be like, oh, you want a white homeland, so that means you want to exterminate the non-whites who live there and all, and they'll try to make out like you're evil and you have these crazy ideas of murder and all these things. Whereas if you just address the well-being of your people directly and don't say you want this or that for your people's well-being, then they cannot stereotype you, they cannot slander you. All they can do is say, no, we disagree with your people having well-being. And then they expose themselves as anti-white racial bigots who want to discriminate against us white folk for simply being born to a certain race. This disables their ability to paint you as the bad guy in the scenario and themselves as some kind of hero, fighting the evil white man. It establishes the truth of the situation, the truth of reality, for everyone to see clearly that you as a white individual are simply advocating for the well-being of your people, specifically the protection of the innocent members of your race, protecting the children, the elderly, the women from abuse, neglect, molestation, etc., etc. Now, if anyone wants to side against you on that, they are directly admitting, to the whole world that they are for and they desire for white children to be molested and raped because they are white. And it doesn't take long when people start admitting those types of desires, and when you're in opposition to those things and standing up for the protection of children, that all good people start to, in their own minds, subconsciously, even without thinking it through, because this is a natural process of human judgment and bias, reading a book by its cover, everyone will start to put you in a certain box, and that other individual who's your interlocutor, who's trying to argue with you or refute you, in their own box. The box that that person will be put in is, well, they're obviously admitting they want white children to be abused, molested and raped simply because they are white, because they were born to the white race. And they hate white people, so they want to see white children molested and abused for simply being white. And then you are put in the category of a hero who stands against such demonic evil and racial discrimination, attacking innocent children on the basis of their race. And then, from that position, recognized and in that box of a hero, perhaps you have a little bit more leeway to say, my people deserve a space, a homeland. I feel that could be one of the steps to upholding my race's well-being. To have some form of homeland, some space in which it is just white folk. That's not what I want. What I want is simply for white children not to be bashed, raped, and molested for simply being white. And these other people here are admitting that is their intention. They want to just go out of their way to bash, molest, and rape white children because those children are white. And they hate the white race. They are anti-whites. Okay, so there's people out there admitting this, saying they want to bash and molest white children because they hate whites. They hate the whole white race, so they want to abuse our children. And then I'm standing up saying, and I'm not going to let that happen. One of the ways potentially we could stop that from ever happening is if we have a space where it's only white folk, so these people never come in. And as well, only white positive white folk. So even if it's a white person but they're anti-white, they can get the fuck out too. Alright? In saying that though, you wouldn't need a necessarily white-only space for this, would you? No. And that's why this type of old idea isn't that useful. Okay? So this is information for yourself, my friend, that I'm making this video for, who asked me about this. Me personally, I wouldn't even bother asking for or advocating for a white-only space. Okay? Instead, my goal, my intention, and what I suggest you push for and ask for yourself and advocate for yourself in your own time is a space in which it is white positive only. So there can be non-white people, there can be a bit of mix of non-white folk here and there, and that's fine, as long as they're white positive. They love the white race, they love white people. They don't want reparations, they don't have this ingrained resentment and hostility and whatnot, no. They don't feel like they're owed anything by white people, no. It's just they have a love for white people, the equal love for everyone else, right? They're white positive, then that's fine. And again, in the same way, even if it's a white person, but they're anti-white, and they have resentment towards what they think white people are bad, or we've done wrong and we should say sorry for our past, and these things, they believe children should be indoctrinated with the molestation, psychological molestation, okay, the psychological rape of white guilt, which rots the brain of and creates trauma inside a white child. They want to molest and abuse white children, okay? Even if they're white, they're not welcome, are they? That makes sense. So ultimately, it's not about creating a white space for white-only people, okay, or for whites only. It's about creating a space which is white positive and always stands against any form of racial discrimination, okay? It believes that all races of people deserve respect and that no one should be discriminated or harmed or abused simply because they were born a certain way. They were born to a certain race. We need to create a space where we can all agree and come together, regardless of our background, regardless of our religions, our faiths, our races, etc., where we can all come together as human beings and accept and uphold, okay, a standard, a morality in which no one is victimized on the basis of their race or any immutable characteristic. And that includes us white folk. So that means never asking us to say sorry, never speaking ill about our race, okay? Not holding any negative judgments. And anything from the past, you let it go, all right? It's just today. There's white people today. You show them love and respect. Pretty simple. If you want to try to bring up the past and all this and that, and well, then you're not seeing the picture clearly, are you? No, you're just full of hate, and you're just trying to make excuses to express your hatred against a race of people based on their race. It's anti-white and it's disgusting. So there's no excuse. Alright, so you can't be coming up with but what about this, and why should I care? Why should I love the white race when they've done that? Well, that's just you expressing your hatred and racial discrimination, right? There is no excuse. You have to love the white race. You haven't done nothing wrong. The white race isn't an entity which has done things and hasn't done things. The white race is a collective of individual people, alright? And you need to treat each white individual as an individual. You don't treat us as a collective and say, oh, we've done wrong, the white race did this. No, the white race isn't a person, it doesn't have an address. Alright, so you can't send a letter to the white race and say, hey, you owe me. Alright? So anyone who thinks in that manner is just racially discriminating, they're a bigot, and they simply hate white people. And again, if you address them in this manner and you say, look, it's wrong, alright? How dare you? It's disgusting. Okay? I will uphold and stand for the well-being of my people and the protection of innocent children. I will protect innocent white children from abuse and molestation, even if it is only psychological, from folk like yourself, who are basically, you're admitting, aren't you, that you want to abuse and molest white children because they're white. Okay? Otherwise, you're not going to ask me to say sorry for being white. You're not going to promote white guilt. You're never going to talk about the past or the things that white people did wrong. You're going to drop all of that in the bin, aren't you? Because you don't want to abuse white children with that psychological molestation, which teaches them to hate themselves for simply being born a certain way. Fair enough. But if you do bring any of that up, you're admitting to everyone and all of us that you actually intend to molest and harm innocent white children because they are white. So if you want to argue with me, do it loud enough for everyone else to hear your position. Because all good people in the world, of all races and all religions, agree with me and see me as a hero protecting the innocent. So, yeah, if you want to be in opposition to me, what I have to say on this matter, this is the way you should address it, okay? Don't address these things in a way which allows anti-whites to put you in a box and stereotype you as bad, evil, etc., and then paint themselves as a hero fighting the evil white man, okay? Frame and conceptualize, articulate these matters in a way that you can advocate them in a manner in which you control what box you can be put into, and you also control the box that your interlocutor is put into, determining or depending on how they respond, whether or not they accept that you are correct or if they wish to argue and debate. If they wish to argue and debate, they automatically put themselves in the box of a child molester, an abuser of women, etc. And a racially discriminating bigot who hates innocent people, hates children, wants to harm and abuse and rape innocent children on the basis of their race. So, if you can talk in a way, you address the well-being and advocate for the well-being of our people in a manner in which anyone who ever opposes you is automatically put in the box of wanting to be a child molester, you win every argument, everyone takes your side. Because nobody's going to walk down the street and tell me that they actually support the molestation of children, because if they do, they're not going to be walking for very long. Okay? And people are going to be patting me on the back, even if I get a charge, in relation to the strange fact that this person won't be able to walk anymore because they're advocating for the molestation of children publicly. I'll let you figure that one out for yourself. I might have to give them a big hug and tickle them till they fall over and they can't walk anymore. Oh. But that's what would happen, isn't it? And everyone in the street would be clapping and going, wow, that's good that that person can't walk anymore, because they were just openly advocating for the molestation and the rape and abuse of innocent children based on their race. So, address anti-whiteism in this manner, and everyone has to take your side. And if they don't take your side and help you to defend the well-being of our race as members of Western kind and recapture the destiny of our people for the future generations, to create a safe and abundant world for our future generations, if they don't take your side, well, everyone's going to pat you on the back when you give them a nice big tickle and a hug and make them incapable of walking. Okay? Because nobody's going to like them, because they're openly admitting and putting themselves in the box, okay, of being a child molester and a bigot who discriminates against innocent people on the basis of their race. So there you have it, brother. If you do this, you can not only build yourself new communities which will outlast these crumbling societies and communities around us as the world currently falls apart and people blindly just go along and do their thing and pretend as if it's not all crumbling around us. You will be able to build communities for future generations which will last for thousands of years, which will uphold and establish the well-being of our race and our people. That is the key. Watch this over a couple of times, and then you'll know exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it in order to establish these communities, which will be the future of our people, and which will uphold the well-being of the innocent members of our people, protect the innocent, protect the women, the elderly, and the children. Any more questions, brother? You want some more information? Some more understanding? Or you want me to just simply break this subject down even further and go into more details? I'm happy to do so. Otherwise, I think that's enough information for now. Take it easy and be successful.